Hi, and welcome to week 3 of our course. It's hard to believe we're already past the quarter way mark. These next 6 weeks will go quickly. Um, Hope you've been enjoying it so far. I do want to address a couple things. A couple of you raised the question or concern about the class not being um, more of a comparative religions class. I've been teaching iterations of this class at SLU for about 10 years now. And well, we've done a little bit of work comparing Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. We're not doing that as much this semester. The core curriculum committee at SLU met over the course of this past year, working hard on this and a couple other classes to make it the great questions in theology class that it is now. And well, I do have a little bit of control over what we do in the class. I don't have a lot. So, again, I'm sorry that for some of you it's not what you might have hoped that it would be. We do at SLU in the theology department offer a comparative religions class, I think a world religions class. If you are interested in those topics, I do encourage you to consider taking one of those classes. I've taken one at SLU and really enjoyed it. But anyways, we are obviously clearly focused on Christianity in this class. And so if you're not Christian, it is a Jesuit Catholic university. So I encourage you to use it as an opportunity, the class an opportunity to understand Christianity maybe a little bit more than you might have before taking the class. So if you have Christian friends, family, neighbors, maybe it gives you a better idea of what they believe and why they believe it. So, yeah. So I just want to be forthright with you and let you know that this is what the class is. For this week, we're going to be looking at the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible. This was the Bible. It is the Bible still for Jewish people. Christians adopted it as their first testament to God's working in the world. The Christians also have the New Testament. The Old Testament is not just one book, just like the Bible's not just one book. The Bible's a library of 66 books, and the Old Testament has 39 books in it. There's a lot of different types of literature within the Old Testament. It was written over approximately 1100, 1200 year period from about 1300 BC up until about 200 BC. So it's a lot of books, 39, written over a long period of time by numerous different authors. It is the way that the Jewish people understand and understood historically God's relationship with them and the way that God revealed God's self to them. So that's what you have there. Some things about the Old Testament, things you'll find, and you'll get more of this in the readings, both with Wright and Modris and Asan this week. But note that there's different kinds of literature in the Old Testament. You have poetry, you have wisdom literature. For instance, why do we have the problem of evil in the world? If you look at the book of Job, that's really what's being wrestled with there. Ecclesiastes, again, why do we have pain in the world? What's this all about? What's this life all about? You have all of the law or legal material from the Torah, 613 distinct laws that the Jewish people followed that they believe God gave to Moses on the mountain. You also have history, the history of the Israelite people that you'll find in the Old Testament. Yeah, so there's a variety of different types of material that you'll be reading or that you'll run into in the Old Testament. For you particularly, one of the things that I'm having you read this week is Amos, the whole book of Amos. It's 9 chapters long, so it's not too terribly long. But I want you to understand a little bit about prophetic works. So in the discussion this past week, I raised the issue, and perhaps you saw it if you were looking at some of the comments that I made and the responses that I made, that the in the law, the legal material given to the Jewish people early on, they were told that they need to look after the widows and the orphans and the poor, people who were on the margins of their society. The Israelite people were just like us. They lived a long time before us, obviously, but they were great people, heroes amongst them, but they were human. And they were broken, and they made mistakes, and sometimes they did wonderful things and loved greatly. Sometimes they did terrible things. The book of Amos is a critique. It's a word of correction. Jews and Christians believe that word of prophecy came from God. Prophecy is not predicting the future per se, like looking at the magic 8-ball or something like that. Prophecy is a word of correction, kind of this is what God sees you doing. And if you don't change your ways, this is what God's going to do in response to that. So be aware of that. I want to speak a word about your visit to a place of worship. The idea of this, and this is an assignment I believe that's used across the board with this class. It certainly has been in the past. The idea is for you to go to a place that's new to you. So if you're not Christian, you're welcome to go to any church, Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, any variety of church, or you could go to a synagogue or a mosque and just not participate in the worship, but rather just observe and see and try and seek to understand what's happening in this worship service. Be respectful, be thoughtful. It's part of the idea is to promote understanding. We learn to trust other people by spending time with them. And when we don't know what's happening in any kind of place of worship, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, or any other kind of place of worship, it's easier for there to be miscommunication and misunderstanding. So that's a lot what is going on with this assignment. I do want you to do a little bit of research ahead of time about the place where you're going to visit. And in the instructions for the assignment, you'll see that. Note that there's Ignatian assignment number 2 that's due this week. These are assignments that were given to us by the core curriculum committee. You're going to be choosing a passage of scripture and studying that passage. And I've given a link to a website on how to do something called inductive Bible study. Spend some time with it. If you need help picking out a Bible passage to study, maybe you can text me or send me an email, and I'm happy to give you some guidance in terms of finding a text that you might find interesting. But the idea with inductive style is to ask questions, to think about it, to reflect on it. What is this saying, and how might it apply to life today? So even if you're a Christian, even if you're not a Christian, or you are part of a different religious background, I encourage you to just think about how these scriptures might apply for Jewish or Christian people. Don't feel like you need to apply these to yourself, especially if you're not a Christian. Okay, so if you have questions or concerns about that, you're welcome to contact me. In no way do I have a desire to convert you to something or indoctrinate you in something. The class and this assignment is just to help to bring you a deeper understanding of what Christians think and what Christians believe. So there you go. One other thing I want to say, and then I'll be quiet. You're doing a nice job within the discussions in these first couple weeks. I appreciate you being graceful with each other. You thinking pretty deeply. Your interactions are good. Your answers to the questions solid. You clearly don't have to agree with the author. There are times when I don't agree with N.T. Wright. You don't have to agree with each other. You don't have to agree with the course, but be graceful. Be graceful with each other. Be graceful with the course. Be graceful with me. No, I hope that you're enjoying it. I hope that you're getting a little bit deeper understanding, again, of what Christians think and what Christians believe. All right. I hope you have a great week. I look forward to interacting with you just a little bit in the discussions again this week. And if you have questions, please always feel free to reach out to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Bye bye.